Real Talk.
Hello, Filipinas! Congratulations! Yan! In the house! Football in the house! Yan!
Project Filipinas.
Project Filipinas, Real Talk. Yan. And Philippine national team, women's national team, World Cup. World Cup feels tayo. Ikaw, Mark, did you ever feel we'll make it this far? We'll have this historic victory, especially against a co-host country, New Zealand? Na-expect mo ba yan?
No, hindi talaga. I was expecting na yung participation natin, doon pa lang nagulat na ako eh. Na, magaling pala yung women's team natin, enough to qualify for the World Cup. Pero nung nasa MRT ako noon eh, nung nakita ko sa feed ko na we scored a goal, 1-0 na yung score. And, OMG, we could win here. We could actually win. So doon pa lang, parang medyo napapaano na ako na yung mga katabi ko sa MRT. Nagtataka why I was shouting or why I was... Tapos I watched na the live hanggang they were able to hold off yung victory over home team, New Zealand. Diba? So I was parang sumisigaw ako dun sa MRT and the whole MRT didn't know what was going on. Bakit sumisigaw tong mukhang tangang tong may hawak na nanonood ng football match? Pero I knew that it was special. It was going to be a huge milestone for Philippine sports as in general, as a whole. And talagang I went down dun sa MRT, I made a reaction video, and I bought a kit.
Yun nga, saan mo nakahanap yung kit na yan?
Bumaba ako
dito, bro.
Yeah, bumaba ako sa North EDSA station, Trinoma. There was an Adidas store there.
Right.
I bought yung exact na sinuot nila, yung puti. Kasi tatlo yan eh. May red, may blue, may white, na may parang stripes na
may
blue.
purple din? Parang may purple din or something?
Blue yung stripes na yun. So,
nice.
They have one in my size. I bought it. Tapos, syempre, suot ako kagad. Proud na proud.
Syempre,
diba? And sobrang masaya. It's a great moment for Philippine football and the whole of Philippine sports. Kasi siguro sa mga audience natin, baka hindi yung iba, lalo na yung hindi exposed doon sa football sa abroad, hindi nila masyadong mag-grasp pa kung gaano ka big deal.
Yes, big deal yan.
Big deal. Yung
Super.
World Cup and yung Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
Because it's the number one sport in the world, di ba? So talagang...
I think it takes to be a Filipino sometimes not to appreciate how much of a big deal football World Cup is. No offense, no? I mean, at least sa US, natatauhan na sila because at least they had the team in the World Cup. They're gonna host the World Cup. But as being a very highly American-influenced basketball-obsessed country, which we'll discuss shortly, I always felt pag nasa Pinas ako, hindi ko na-feel yung World Cup vibes. But once you move out of the Philippines, any country, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Saudi, give me any country on the map. Parang, bigyan mo yung map, gaganon lang ako. Pag World Cup time, pare,
everyone
insane
is
ang tao. I'm telling you, insane ang tao. And it really takes to be the Philippines to be insulated from all that reality, no? So I always found that weird. Although siguro this World Cup, kasi nandito ako sa Pilipinas, pinanood ko dito sa Makati area. There were many people, I could see more and more crowd, but still very foreigner heavy. Yung audience. Andun pa, like half of the audience were French related. Most Pinoys were Messi because sikat si Messi obviously. But yun nga, like I just always felt na football is a super underappreciated sport. And it just happens to be the biggest sport on earth by every metrics.
Totoo.
No offense. By every metrics, it's the biggest sport. Kaya nung 1-0 ahead tayo, nakabantay lang ako doon. And sabi ko, salamat na football to. Kasi in football, you just need one goal.
One goal.
Just one goal. And you can still win a whole tournament.
Actually, kahit nga draw is still yun yung hindi magets ng mga ibang sports fan eh. Ano pag draw, okay lang?
Yeah.
Masaya na kayo pag draw. Even with a draw, I would have been happy. Kasi with any team, di ba? Parang sino ba naman yung Pilipinas? Di ba? Kami talagang mahilig kami sa football and so big deal na yun.
And bro, the New Zealand team, ang tatangad nila. Basta matangad sa akin yung mga babae, nakita ko yung mga height nila, 6 foot tall, 6'1", 6'2", like it was a dominant team and nakaka-nervyoso yung match kasi 70% of all possession sa kabila. So imagine in basketball if one team has tambak yan by 60 points. Yung tipong dalawang pasa mo na nakuha na yung kabila. Like that's the thing with football. Kaya ako, I always love football because it's more real life. Because in real life, sometimes kahit hindi ikaw yung pinaka-talented, ikaw hindi pinaka-mayaman, you can still win by just not losing, right? Or just holding on. Pero sa basketball, consistency game kasi na bam, 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 bam. It's like ping pong. There's just no way you can win with 1-0 and 0-0. So I know sa atin mga Pilipino, minsan maraming nabobore sa football, etc. I keep on hearing that.
Yeah, ako admittedly, I love the highlights. I love yung drama, yung business side of football. Pero hindi pa ako, I am not at that point yet where I can watch a whole game na hindi World Cup.
Yeah.
yung isang buong game na papanoorin mo tas matatapos yung laro 0-0.
Yeah.
Wala pa ako doon. But I love the highlights. I love yung skill na pinapakita ng mga players kicking the ball and controlling the ball. So doon part pa lang ako. Pero just like many other Filipinos, hindi pa ako doon na makakanood ng isang buong game. Just to watch them magdodraw lang sila. Tapos uuwi na.
Is it because attention span problem tayo? Siguro. Or because na-spoil din tayo sa basketball? Because
siguro.
I don't mean it in a judgmental way. It's a quick gratification mechanism, no? Kagad, di ba? While football is really delayed gratification. Basketball kagad, shoot here, shoot dyan, shoot here, shoot dyan, or puro shoot lang isang side. But you constantly see points coming in. While in football, man, any moment, there could be a goal or there could be no goal for 120 minutes and penalty kicks. Oh my God, it can go on and on. But for me, yun nga, I just felt it's a good exercise for attention span improvement. You know, it's like, manood ka ng football, you hold it together, that'll be more than good for your mental health or an attention focus improvement.
And one thing I also love about football na hindi pa na-appreciate ng Amerikano or ng Philippines is yung promotion relegation system. Which is, kung hindi din familiar yung mga nanonood po natin, ibig sabihin, if you're on the top league, kunyari, PBA ka kunyari, dun sa football na ganun, if nasa kulelat ka, nasa bottom 2 or bottom 3, you will be relegated dun sa pangalawang league. Tapos yun namang winners doon, yun naman ang mapopromote dun sa top league. And habang pataas ka ng pataas ng league, palaki ng palaki yung premium mo, pababa ka ng pababa ng league, paliit ng paliit yung pera nyo hanggang mabankrupt na lang yung club.
Yes, I mean, manood lang kayo ng Ted Lasso to appreciate what we're talking about, the drama of it, the stakes in it.
Yun.
And yeah, I mean, big deal just to make it to the Premier League, no? Dun sa Division 1, etc. And actually goes up to 4 divisions in some countries like France, for instance, among others. Now,
ako naman yung Welcome to Wrexham. Yun yung sa Ryan Reynolds.
Pwede rin, exactly. Sa ano ba yan? Sa Disney ba yan? Or sa
Disney Plus ngayon.
Disney Plus, yeah. Apple naman yung isa.
Okay,
now,
you were saying,
I'm sure as we were talking about football, lumalabas na yung mga nega dyan. And I know exactly what are going to be the negas, no? Let's start. Before we go to the team itself, because I heard, some people, medyo snidey. USB team lang naman yun. Hindi naman talaga mga Pilipinas yan. Like, well, let's talk about imports sa basketball ang mga half Filipinos, Jordan Clarkson, mga, okay. We'll go to that soon, no? Or even yung mga Phil Sham, diba? Bago tayo pumunta dyan, let's talk about misconceptions about football. No? And please feel free to push back against that. And then we'll talk about basketball. No? And there I'm gonna rely more on you. Number 1 misconception about football is that, nako, pang mayaman yan, pang konye yan. Yung mga konye naglaro dyan sa BGC.
But the thing is ngayon it's that way ngayon sa Pilipinas.
That way ngayon. But if you look at it, the best talents on earth, Neymar, for instance, they come from favelas. Ito yung mga Tondo, ito yung mga, payatas ng numbers.
Iloilo. What's that? Barotac, Bravo, Iloilo. Yeah. Football is yung number 1 sport nila doon. Kids are playing.
But the reason I'm mentioning this is because you can say, well, at least sa probinsya may space. Because the argument here is, tingnan mo yung Manila, wala kang espasyo to play football. Kaya nga, I'm bringing the big cities of Brazil. And I see what you're saying. We'll go to that very shortly. Speaking of Iloilo, I want to say something about that. But what I'm saying is, number one, hindi lang siya hindi pang mayaman. And actually, you can do it even in urban slum areas. As you can see, if you go to Brazil, the best talents tend to come from that areas, no? From Pele to Neymar, a lot of them come from very poor background. They grew up in the slums in the big city of Brazil and they made it to the highest level. Or look at the best player on earth today, Lionel Messi, no? Some would say Alan, but still it's Lionel Messi for me. He came also from Argentina, which is not a very wealthy country. Constantly my economic crisis sila. Their inflation was 120% yata last year, just to put things into perspective. And even people like Ronaldo, the other great player of our era, or some would say the greatest player really, he also come from a very poor background, a very poor area in Portugal, when Portugal was still a very poor country, you know, back in the days. And look at that load of talents from Africa, right? From Nigeria, from Ghana, we can Sierra Leone, we can go on and on about it. So actually, if you look at also the latest World Cup, those are last 4 teams, France lang yung mayaman na bansa. Croatia, it's a post-conflict, newly rich country. I mean, it's not even rich yet, no? And then you have Morocco, which is even poorer than Philippines in per capita income. And then you have Argentina, which became the champion and not a developing country from Latin America. So, by every measure, this is not pang mayaman na sports, because you can clearly see it's the most popular sport, and it tends and poorer countries tend to do very, very well, especially as we saw in the latest World Cup or in the roster of best players. The second thing I want to, because ganito, diba, bro, literally you can just put 2 rocks there, yun yung goal post mo, and then you need the ball. And then doon sa mga mas mahirap na bansa or mahirap na lugar, if you hindi mo ma-afford yung leather style na ball, merong plastic version na sobrang mura na 50 pesos lang. I played with that abroad back in the day. So, and then sometimes you can just put a chalk dun sa wall. Kunya, konti lang space nyo, ganyan kaliit, di ba? You can just play there. One side lang. Or chalk here, chalk there. So, you don't need even a ring. Actually, the funny thing is abroad, tingin nila ang basketball ang pangmayaman. Kasi kailangan po magpatayan ng ring, effort pa yan. Yung football, 2 rock lang, pwede ka na maglaro, di ba? So, that's for me number one misconception na meron tayo sa football. And the other thing with football misconception that I think we have is that, you know, there's a sense that hindi ito tugma sa atin. When I for whatever reason. And for me, actually perfect siya sa atin because unlike basketball, and I wanted to defend basketball soon, hindi mo kailangan ng height sa football. You need height though to be a goalkeeper, but you still have goalkeepers who are 5'11" or 6 foot tall lang, which is a point guard height for professional basketball, just to be clear. You still can be very good goalkeeper. Like Onana, for instance, the new goalkeeper of Manchester United and Inter Milan recently, is I think just 6'1" tall. While in basketball, that's just a point guard height. Right? Like my height is probably the shortest, like 5'11" is probably the shortest point guard you can have at the highest level, no? So what I'm saying here is look at the best player on earth, Messi, 5'6", 5'7". That's more or less the height of an average Filipino man, last time I checked, right? So I just feel it's something that is perfect for us. And lastly, we talk about football as if it's something that was never part of us. It's something abroad, you know, it's a European thing or something like that. When in fact, before tayo naging basketball-obsessed nation, before tayo naging, you know, basketball is everything nation, actually we had a golden era in football. So, Paulino Alcantara, Iloilo born. So, speaking of Iloilo, I'm not surprised Iloilo is still producing great players, locally bred players, no? Paulino Alcantara, if you go to the website of Barcelona, one of the best clubs, if not the best clubs out there, it's there. He had almost 1 goal in every match he had. Wow. And he had close to 400 matches. And yung mga nanood ng cartoons na Captain Tsubasa, in real life, doon sa isang games, because he played for both Philippines and Espanya. Yung tatay niya kasi Espanyol, mami niya yung taga Iloilo, no? Mestizo siya. Sa isang match, he shoot the ball so hard, it went through the net. Bro, pang cartoons. So yung mga nanood ng cartoons, yung cartoon na Captain Tsubasa na Japanese, yung laro sila, ganyan. Ginawa niya sa real life. Galing. So it was a legend in Spain for a very long time. Only one person beat this record in Barcelona for the most goals. You can guess who? Lionel Messi. So it took a Messi to beat the record of Paulino Alcantara.
A Filipino,
Iloilo born, who played for the Philippines. Speaking of which, because again, I'm gonna hear Espanyol naman yan. No, he played for the Philippines. We beat Japan 15 something, 15.
But this was what year?
Early 20th century pa yan, bro. So more or less 100 years ago. So more or less 100 years ago when football was still a young sport, right? Internationally, we were among the new big stars internationally. And we produced the best player that Asia has ever produced. No Asian player has made it anywhere close to Paulino Alcantara. No offense to Korean players or Iranian players. Some of them have been doing very well in Premier League or in Europe. But you're talking about a guy close to 400 goals, right? From Barcelona. I mean, this is the next level stuff. So, I can go on and on and on about it. Kaya for me, I got emotional because I feel us doing good in World Cup nowadays means that we're kind of paying homage. No? Homage to Paulino Alcantara. But let's go to the last point because I want you to come in here. The other one, snidey comment here is that beat him ng mga US yan. Like out of 21 players, mga 16 dyan ay US raised, etc. But let's be very clear, kahit yung mga iba na blonde, actually half Pinoy yung mga yan, including our goalkeeper natin. Taga Davao, I think yung mom niya. No? So some of them look more Caucasian or foreigner, but actually a lot of them, I think vast majority of them, at least have a Filipino mom or a Filipino blood or were raised in a Filipino family. And if you want to play that card, well, ilan yung mga half Filipino or Filsham or import na hindi lang sa Gilas pero sa PBA, for instance, right? Isn't our basketball
dominating then basketball?
Now let's talk basketball because so I just tried to do the entry lang dun sa mga some of the misconceptions about football.
Isa-isahin natin.
Yeah. Now let's talk about basketball because yun nga yung point ko, bro. I mean, please push back against what I said.
Ito yung point ko dyan. I really hate it kapag nananalo tayo sa ibang sports na sabihin, ay, bawasan natin yung budget sa basketball, dito na lang tayo, dito na lang ganun. Para sa akin kasi, this is how I view it. It is, yung love for a sport is something that is, that shouldn't be forced. Hindi mo siya pwedeng pilitin eh. We love, majority of Pinoy guys love basketball for a reason. Kasi bata pa lang tayo, puro basketball na. We grew up Sonny Jaworski, and mga Hinebra, and mga magagaling Ramon Fernandez. We grew up to that sa generation na yon. So, it took a whole lifetime na of watching basketball. Plus, yung opportunities, if you're good at basketball, you could play at the PBA, you could make money. So, yun. So, you grew up watching the sport and you have an opportunity to earn. If you want to do the same for football, kaya ako masaya doon sa panalo ng Filipinas kasi Pinoys, just like other countries, we love winners. Okay? So, nung nanalo si Heidelin, uy, pwede pala tayong weightlifting.
Yeah.
Of course, nung si Pacquiao, of course, mas lalong umano yung boxing o kaya natin makipagsabayan dyan kahit anong bansa. We can be best in the world. Hopefully, we could have that moment with Filipinas na, uy, kaya pala nating manalo sa football. We can win in the biggest stage. Hindi lang sa anong mga liga, in the biggest stage nung sport na yon. So hopefully, ang criticism nga, puro mga born in the US, itong mga girls natin. Pero I think, dapat masundan na dahil we love winners and Filipinas are winners, it will generate more interest, more sponsors,
right,
more hype, more coverage for us to develop a grassroots na program dito sa bansa. And sa akin, I believe it starts with the schools. If we teach our students to play football, they will love the game, they will enjoy the game, they will watch sa YouTube yung mga games abroad, Premier League and MLS kung ano man. And I think it starts there. So it's yung tumanda na with basketball, mahirap nang baguhin yung isip na you should like football. Hindi ko talaga gusto But with kids, I think we have a chance. If yun lang, yung sa PE lang, we just adjust na instead of basketball sa PE, let's do football. Kasi kahit naman hindi mo na isama yung basketball sa PE, paglabas naman yan, magbabasketball din naman yan. Pero pag ilagay mo sa PE, we could spark yung interest sa kanila.
Right.
Yun, and yun yung sa unang point pagdating sa basketball. Yun yung pangalawa naman pagdating dun sa hindi daw Filipina enough yung mga players natin. Ako I take offense sa ganun kasi I'm sure just like many other Filipinos, we have relatives na naninirahan sa US.
Right.
'Di ba? And may mga anak sila doon. So, are we saying hindi na Pilipino yung mga anak ng mga kamag-anak natin? So, hindi talaga eh. So, itong mga, lalo yung mga players natin, they have Filipina moms, 'di ba? Karamihan sa kanila. So, kahit doon sila lumaki, yung dugong Pinoy, they eat rice, they eat adobo, sigurado yan.
Correct.
'Di ba?
Or durian, maraming taga Davao din, magaling din yung mga Davao.
So, I'm sure yung mom nila made it sure na yung kanilang pagka-Pilipino ay hindi nawawala sa kanila. Siguro ikwento ko na din. Kasi tuwang-tuwa ako nung nabasa ko yung article how this team was formed.
Right. Let's do this.
Kasi hindi naman yan overnight na World Cup. Ganyan. This started in 2012. A guy named...
More than 10 years na pala.
10 years yung process na ito.
In-effort yan.
A guy named Mark Mangun. I don't know if tama yung pronunciation.
Recruitment guy sa team natin.
He became the liaison and recruitment officer.
Exactly.
So, ang ginawa niya noong 2012, naghanap ng football players na may konting lahing Pinoy. Okay?
Basta may Filipino connection.
Basta ipapasa sa rules ng FIFA. So, naghanap siya ng hanap. Nung umpisa, walang pumapansin sa kanya. Hanggang nakahanap siya, I think, mga 150 na
pool ng candidates.
Tapos syempre ite-train nila yon doon na sila nagte-train sa Amerika na. Tapos I think 2013 sinimula na silang gamitin for a tournament na hindi naman ganun kataas, and they won. They perform well.
Right.
Doon nila na-realize, this could work.
This could work.
Tapos nagtuloy-tuloy na. At that time, wala silang financial support. Sobrang hirap. Yung mga jerseys nila, minsan luma, ganun.
Yeah.
So as in
recently lang tayo nagkaroon ng Adidas, di ba? Sponsored Adidas shirt, if I'm not mistaken.
So that all led to the sa may Asian Cup ba yun where we qualified?
Asian qualifiers.
Asian qualifiers. Yun. So hanggang nag-lead doon, tapos we got yung coach from Australia na magaling na coach, tapos nagkaroon na ng
kasi ito yung dalawang superpower, no? US and Australia sa women's. Ito yung dalawang superpower. So we're really working with the Brazil and Argentinas of just to give you a reference point.
Good point, no? Kasi ang champion yung women's national
Australia
team
is the other superpower. So perfect yung mga tinarget nila.
Yung combination na gano'n. Ang ganda. So ayun na, hanggang pumasok na yung mga sponsors and yung like you said, yung Adidas, hanggang naka-qualify tayo sa World Cup, and hanggang ito, we won our first game sa World Cup. So sobrang laking balita, nire-report ng 'di ba lahat ng major news outlets around the world. Na-shock din siguro sila na how can a team ano ba naman yung Pilipinas? Yung mga tao nga dyan di mahilig sa football.
like do they even know they qualified for... Ako, nilaro ko kasi yung FIFA Women World Cup sa PS5. I mean, sa FIFA 2020. Biglang lumabas yung women, and then Philippines, and then national anthem ng Philippines. Ang sarap ng feeling, bro.
Galing.
And ang sarap maglaro. Ang galing ng team natin. They're so fast. I enjoy more playing yung Philippine women's team than Argentina or Brazil, to be honest, because they're so fluid, they're so talented. You can check it on my YouTube channel. In-upload ko yung nilaro ko yan. So, you can see hindi ako nagbobola dito. You can really see my excitement when I was playing it against China, no? Now, of course, as of this recording, we don't know if the Philippines is gonna make it to the next round. But regardless, I think we have already made history. Whether we make it or not.
Yeah. Siguro ang pinaka-point ko lang dun sa storya na I said, yung 10-year na ginawa dyan, maybe we can double down on that strategy for women's football and other sports na rin. Maybe we can build facilities sa US for
basketball.
Ascals, Gilas, Filipinas. You can do a Filipinas Academy sa US.
Let's talk about the Ascals one, because it's a kind of a mixed record, isn't it? My sense is the success of the women's World Cup team is also partly based on what they learned with Ascals, because the Ascals experience had a little bit of a green shoot at first, but they never made it as far as this team. Remember, this team is the top team in ASEAN. This team is semi-finalists in Asia. They were only beaten by South Korea, which is a very top strong team, and now they're World Cup potentially contender for the playoffs. No, they just need a draw, I think, against Norway. They might be in the position to make it to the next level. So So the Ascals one got a lot of celebrity power. No offense to house husband, whatever yung mga name nila.
Young husband.
But whatever, young husband. Ayan na naman tayo eh. Tito Boy Soto.
Sige.
Oh my God. Huwag kayo magalit sa akin. Yung mga young husband. But let's be honest, they were never at the same level. I mean, I have friends there who played for the Philippines. I love these guys. But this team is like grabe yung potential
pero hindi
nila.
kaya dahil sa competition na kasi all of the world, ang attention nila is sa men's football.
Pero that's changed eh. So if you look at the numbers
It's
right
changing now. Over the last few years. Pero, di ba, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Okay, I get what you're saying. What I'm arguing is the way the Philippine women's competition competitive now is comparable to how men's was competitive 10, 15 years ago. Do you see my argument?
Yeah.
Because I completely see your argument. Your argument is that fair naman tayo sa mga guys, grabe yung sa kanila. But my point is, pero humabol lang kasi yung women din eh. Malakas yung Vietnam ngayon, malakas na rin yung Thailand, yung mga ganun. So, I get your point. Mas congested yung competition sa men. But in fairness, humahabol na lang yung women level. And ang layo pa rin kasi bro eh. Like, semifinals of Asian Cup. Right? World Cup victory against host country. Medyo ang layo. So even if I say, fine, 3 times more difficult, I don't want to say that because it sounds like a discrimination. Even if we assume to do that, the level of achievement is just leaps and bounds above it, bro. So,
ito tanong ko sa'yo.
I know what's your argument, but my feeling is, talagang deserve credit talaga tong team na to. Galing talaga
this is what I want to ask you. Should we use the same strategy sa Filipinas with the Ascals? Should we have a Mark Mangun recruiting Phil-Am guys
but we tried that, diba?
Sa US?
It just didn't work as well. So
should we go to that path ba, or should we try here pa rin, or
good question, no? Thanks for that. For me naman, I'm not gonna pretend I know all the ins and outs of the sport. My understanding here is, I completely agree with you. At first, you need victory to bring attention and financing and funding. Kasi logistics is very important, right? So in a way, I appreciate what the Ascals did for football. At least gave the first days. And then, so parang feeling ko, they're building on the Ascals effort. They're not negating it.
True.
So we're hoping tuloy-tuloy yan for football in general, whether for women, for men, we want both to do as well as enough so that there'll be more resources for football. Now, just to be clear, pagdating sa individual sports, I am 100% for focusing on weightlifting, boxing, those individual sports where we have a high chance of winning Olympic gold. We already won one, but we have to do better than that. So we're not talking about those sports. The bone of contention here is dun sa mga collective team sports na big 3 or big 5, right? So what are the big 5? Easily basketball, football, volleyball, cricket, and you can put one more thing there. Could be American football, could be baseball, for instance. So just think of the 5 big sports in terms of audience, in terms of revenues, in terms of prestige, right? Easy. So when it comes to those big 5, my sense is, you're right. It doesn't make sense for us to take away money from basketball. But for me, the more it doesn't make sense that we barely have any investments in football at all. Like, kumpara mo yung investment natin sa football and basketball is just, and then kumpara mo yung bigness ng football versus basketball internationally, it's kind of like that. So you have this superimposed on this. It's kind of like, something for me is kind of wrong there. And yung isa pang sinasabi ko dito is, let's be honest, when was the last time nag-Olympics ang Philippine basketball team? When was the last time we won even Asian level? 1985, something like that, before EDSA pa yata yan, di ba? So, yes, we did it to semifinals. I started to final silver 2013, 2015. I love it. But my sense is, the more that we're moving forward, the more we're realizing sa basketball, parang may glass ceiling na eh. Puro mga mananalo matatanggal.
Inaaway mo na naman yung basketball, pero sige.
I'm doing this just to provoke. Just to provoke. Kasi nakikita maraming dismissive sa football. So, madali ako mag-contra. Yan ang isa sa robotas ko. Well, wait lang. Hanggang saan ba tayo umabot? Kasi, Indonesia, Cambodia.
Ang punto ko, hindi mo kailangang bawasan yung basketball.
I know what you're saying. It's not an either or thing.
Hindi kasi yung love for the game eh. 'Di ba, kahit kulela tayo, kahit ano tayo, yun yung...
But where is the love coming from? Because my argument is...
Because nga, I explained kanina, because bata ka pa lang, you grew up playing the game.
But my question is, why is basketball our sport to begin with?
Because yung sa for example, professional level, PBA
where did it start? I was just explaining in the 1910s and 20s, we were football.
Colonialism.
Exactly.
Pero ang
so it's an American colonial legacy.
Ba't hindi natin na-adapt yung baseball, American football, and yung ibang sports ng US? So, siguro, yung sa basketball, yun talaga yung na gustuhan, yun yung inadapt ng mga schools and inadapt ng mga, di ba, it started sa UAAP and NCAA. Yun yung sport na nila. Pero we're seeing the same growth for volleyball.
Yes, the other sport, great
sport. You know how you could measure that? Yung salary ng players.
Right.
Volleyball players, mas malaki na yung salary sa most of a lot of PBA players.
Oh, no shoot.
Yeah.
Kasi sa celebrity advertisement, etc.
Yes, kasi there are companies na talagang all in na sila. Gusto, like for example, sila Rebisco, sila Boss MVP, tapos yung mga ibang companies.
I mean, like people like Gretchen Ho, whom we're hoping to interview in the future. They're celebrity volleyball players.
We're hearing volleyball players now getting paid $500,000 a
game. A month.
Oh, wow. Diba? Na sa PBA, di ba, ang minimum ng salary ng players, magkano, 100,000, ganun lang.
Bang vlogger na.
Pero yun ang punto ko. Football could look at what kung ano yung ginagawa ng volleyball. Diba? What made them, kasi it starts at the schools.
Yeah.
Diba? Yung the celebrities, the star players that I'm talking about now sa volleyball, saan ba galing yung mga yan? Sa Ateneo volleyball team, sa, diba, sa Lasal, UST,
the usual
UAT
suspects,
volleyball. So, I think it starts at the school level.
Yeah, actually, I noticed that sa Twitter, nagtatrending. In fact, super big fan ng Philippines ng Japan men's volleyball team. Naalala ko nung nandito sila naglaro. Like, trending in Japan. So, baka nag-trend. Yung pala is the basketball. Like, people here were crazy about volleyball, including volleyball of other countries like Japan. So you're right. Although, I have a logistical question. My logistical question is, di ba parang sa volleyball, kailangan mo lang, i-convert lang yung basketball, Like, you don't need a new stadium, right?
No.
Yun nga, parang feeling ko, mas flexible yung volleyball na pwede mo ipasok in the same basketball court, di ba? Unlike in football, you really need different stadiums and all. Here naman, I agree with the logistical argument in terms of professional league. Yung sinasabi ko kanina na sa kalye, that's like in terms of culture of football. Yeah.
Sa volleyball, na kasi they have a star named Dina Wong, kayang punuin yung MOA Arena ng fans.
Ng volleyball.
Hindi Dina Wong.
Alone, exactly. Yeah.
When she plays.
My celebrity following.
Meron siyang kalaban on the other side na sikat din, napupuno nila yung MOA Arena. So the volleyball is already there, nearing na basketball. Maybe football could learn from that, kung paano nagawa yun ng volleyball and work its way up. Kasi yung nga problema natin, yung ating football league dito, hindi sustainable, di ba? Papalit ng palit.
Medyo may problema talaga.
There are a few big business owners lang who are like, I think sila Ceres, di ba? From the Visayas region din, na talagang were funding their teams. Pero yung iba, ang bilis, sila LBC.
Yeah. I cannot blame them kasi walang audience so far. So parang, kaya I'm hoping this World Cup experience with women, they will be not only celebrities but ambassadors for football.
Yes,
kasi ayoko mangyari yung maging celebrity naman tapos siya na, hindi na yung sport na yung pinapansin
hopefully they would go, iikot sila yung mga guestings sa mga noontime shows, sa mga iba't iba sa news programs. Hopefully they make the rounds.
I'm sure mangyari 100%. I just hope it doesn't just become a personal celebrity thing. It translates into the volleyball and sport, right? So like volleyball created the Gretchen Hose and all of that. But still, the volleyball also is still a big thing, right? So I hope the same thing also happens with football. Ako naman, I'm just for the sake of argument, I'm just saying, yung ROI mo, yung return on investment mo on football, so far, you make it to World Cup, you're winning World Cup, makano lang ginastos dyan sa team na yan. Even if whatever you want to say about them being a BUS team, kumpara sa how much ang ginagastos natin sa basketball and ano ulit yung performance natin sa Southeast Asia?
Naaway mo na naman. We won. Coach Chot Reyes. Binabash ko siya before that, pero after nilang manalo nung sa Southeast Asian Games, tinigilan ko na muna siya because they won.
I want us to do good, pero kinakabahan ako sa World Cup, bro. Ano ba yung group natin sa World Cup sa FIBA?
Mabibigat yung mga kalaban
natin.
Team 5
ako.
I don't know if you're familiar, si Carl Anthony Towns ng Minnesota makakalaban natin. Unang game. So, mabibigat yung mga kalaban natin dyan.
Yung import ng China, di ba? NBA player, di ba? So, So, sino yung mga team sa kalaban natin?
Teka lang.
Anong group tayo?
I forgot nababasa ko sa Hindi ko kabisado.
No, but yun nga, actually, kinakabahan ako. But
I think Angola, yun yung kaya nating matalo. That's happening on
50-50, yeah. Medyo, pero syempre, may home court advantage tayo. So, feeling ko kaya natin yung Angola. Asian teams tend to do well against Angola.
Here's my point din nga, Richard. It's a good point din nga eh. Yung World Cup ng basketball, parang walang pakialam yung mundo.
Tayo lang. Pati US din parang wala.
Kahit nga tayo eh. Yeah. Kahit nga tayo, yun nga ang mano dun eh. Diba? Masaklap dun eh. Diba? Excited kayo ba? May mga ticket na kayo. Bili na kayo. Okay? Kasi supportahan natin. Supportahan natin. Baka sabihin niya, diba? Hindi, yung excitement hindi ganun ka for the World Cup. Kasi ang problema, yung NBA players, many of them won't come. Yung top NBA All-Stars, hindi pupunta.
So B-team ang papadala nila.
Iyon ang problema. Like the Team USA, di ba? Walang all-star.
So may chance ang, sino bang malakas ngayon? Spain pa rin.
Spain napakaganda din ng, I also want to talk about Spain din.
Spain talaga eh.
I think number 1 sila sa mundo, nauunahan nila yung US sa basketball. Yung program nila, yung academy nila, napakaganda din. They recruit at a very young age, tapos they grow to the academy.
Barcelona ulit, Barcelona, Real Madrid, di ba? Yung same clubs.
They grow through ito yung national team, they grow through the academy, alam nila yung system, para if they turn pro, anytime they can come back, alam na nila yung system.
Correct.
So napakaganda nung so it starts talaga at a young age eh.
Right.
Yung kaya there are a lot of things we can learn for the Gilas program,
the Spain, I think,
the Ascals program. Pero ako talaga what I'm pushing for is to have courts and mga football fields, academies sa US. Let's double down on the Filipinas strategy. Doon na tayo mag-practice lahat. As in, fill up na gawin natin. It's effective
talagang sabi na B-team talaga tayo ng US.
Hayaan mo sila as long as we're winning. We may not beat the US team or the European team.
No, it's okay.
But we'll be powerhouse in Asia.
Yeah.
Okay na sa akin.
I think we're already powerhouse in Asia.
Yun nga.
It's so
for football and other sports, yun ang naisip ko strategy.
Feeling ko, quarterfinals kaya ng Philippine team na yan eh. If things stars align, kaya talaga until quarterfinals. Alright, before tayo mag-away more on basketball and all, yun naman, nagsusutil din ako dyan na, bakit naman nakuha natin sa basketball? But, I mean, I understand people's, kasi nakikita ko even in fashion, yung mga Jordan Air na uso, gano'n. Like ako kasi more football, even yung forma ko is more like, European football style. So I can see how much we're attached to the basketball culture. So, yeah, I mean, best wishes sa World Cup. But in the meantime, sana yung ROI niya medyo malapit sa football. But yung point, whenever we train it, in America, in Australia, and Philippines, football can have another golden era in the Philippines, but we need to keep on winning and compete at the highest levels and create more and more ambassadors for the sports and hopefully, and more people from provinces, including Iloilo, or producing very great players, thanks to Paulina Alcantara's legacy there. But I hope Paulina Alcantara becomes, I know this is like 1920s pa, no? Almost 100 years ago. But I just feel, given his stature and gravitas in Barcelona, in Spain, in European football, medyo, I hope he becomes more of a household name.
Should celebrate.
Yeah, exactly. The same way na Jaworski and all are. I know.
Take pride. Take more pride in sa achievements niya and legacy niya. If football is all about history and, di ba?
Yeah, it is, bro. So kung Pinoy ka, pumunta ka sa Barcelona, doon sa Camp Nou na ngayon, Spotify Camp na ngayon, whatever. Sarap ng feeling makita mo isang Iloilo born guy. Kasi they say, the guy from the Philippines. They don't say Espanol. They say, literally, in Barcelona, they say the guy from the Philippines. So the Spanish recognize him as a Filipino, even if he also played for Spain, because he was dual citizen, no? Anyways, on that note, thank you very much, Mark. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Always for bringing perspective. And thank you. The volleyball one, I really like that. That's a very good
Siguro ako, yun
intervention.
yung last word ko. If we want to grow football sa Philippines, let's start with the schools. UAAP, NCAA, PE, school level, grade school level, let's start there.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And sana yung mga land grabber dyan. Alam na ni Idol Rafi Tulfo, paki-call out yung mga land grabber dyan para may lands tayo for more for football. Ayan na. Which brings us, sets the tone for the next episode. Thank you very much for joining us and mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Good luck sa World Cup ng both football and basketball. See, mahal ko kayong lahat. Maraming salamat.
Real talk.
Subscribe, Real Talk.
Real Talk